All right, I just finished filming Fireteam Chat like 2 seconds ago, and while I have all my stuff set up here, I wanted to do a short Outriders video that is not really talking about my impressions of the game because I've done pretty much 2 days of videos in a row on that. I'm working on, I was going to try and start working on my Pyromancer on PC to start capturing some footage to play during these, but the Steam version of the game it's not running very well, and B, I cannot get on the servers for an extended period of time to save my life. That is a pretty common problem that they are working on. In contrast, I've only had one disconnection on Xbox, but I've heard some people have had a lot worse luck. So it's kind of all over the place right now. It's a traditional server-based online launch, and one of the reasons this is happening is because Outriders seems to be kind of a hit, and it's impressive considering this genre has been a little fatigue heavy these days with like so many looters coming out and then so many failing. So you wouldn't think a brand new IP that is not tied to Marvel superheroes or is not the big next game from BioWare would not really attract that much attention. But there's been some pretty interesting early numbers coming out. Like, we don't know sales or anything like that, and they haven't released a ton of stuff, but we can track through Steam like how many people are playing. And I think there was something like 110,000 concurrent players on Steam yesterday, which is more than triple the record of Avengers, which is at like 29,000 at its absolute peak. And Outriders is also on the Epic Store, so that's not even the full PlayStation or the full PC player base. And then obviously it's on Xbox Game Pass, so that is a free way to play it that has really opened up the potential. And we have not seen, we didn't see Anthem or Avengers or games like that debut on Game Pass. Godfall was PlayStation exclusive only. I think it was $70, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember, but that now seems insane to me. And the Destiny 2 did launch Beyond Light on Game Pass and is free to play now. So that sort of it. But Destiny's so well established that doesn't really count. I've talked a little bit about this kind of as time has gone on, but like, why is Outriders a hit? Like, why is this working? Like, when it almost kind of shouldn't have. People Can Fly is not like the biggest studio in the world. They did Bulletstorm and a couple other things, but like, they're not, a true kind of heavy hitter in the industry compared to some of these other developers of these other games I'm talking about. But what they've done between them and Square Enix is they kind of relentlessly focused on a core message of, we're not doing like all this live service BS. Like, the game you get is the game at launch, and that is like the complete package. Like, we're not going to need to patch it to fix it a bazillion ways. Like, we're not going to start seasonal content and like drip feeding stuff out to you. We're not going to have a microtransaction store full of cosmetics. Like, this is the game. Play it or don't play it. Take it or leave it. And that has so far worked wonders, because I think people, even myself included, for all these games I play, are getting a little fatigued of games that are so tied to kind of ongoing, endless content. And it's not like you can just play the game. It's like, this is only the first chapter, and like we have this big ongoing narrative unfolding over the next few years, and like give you a roadmap. They miss all the dates on the roadmap. Like this has happened frequently. So to get Outriders and be like, having it built in already as just, it has an end game, like you can farm the end game. We don't know what the longevity is on that. And this is not to say that they are going to rule out ever making DLC or like additional classes or things like that for it. I personally think they're going to raise the character level cap a few times, because there are so many unfilled nodes on the skill tree that you should be able to get more points for. I don't think there are very many points right now. So I think they can continue to expand the game in those kind of ways, but those are more traditional than the live service, games of service kind of thing here. It is still live in the sense that it is on servers, which has caused all these current problems. But even a game like Diablo 3, that had its infamous Error 37 launch, where everyone just wanted to play Diablo 3 and probably play it solo, and they couldn't log in. And times have not changed, and we are still in that position now. I think they've done a really great job kind of selling this game to people like me. They really focused hard on legendary gear, legendary sets. Like, they didn't just show them, they like literally wrote pre-build guides. They showed what a full set would look like in the end game, like kind of reinforcing that they do in fact have an end game. And they did a great job with that. I think one of the biggest reasons this is a success is because they bothered to do this giant free demo, and it was not tied to pre-ordering. It was not platform specific. Anyone could download this demo, which was probably around 90 minutes to 2 hours of content. And as people learned, you could farm it for 20 to 50 hours if you really wanted to, because you could technically get legendary drops, which would be have useful mods for the end game. And that really worked well. I think impressions of the game coming out of that have been generally positive. You can point to kind of the game getting review bombed right now on Steam, but that is mostly for kind of these connection issues, and there were some like PC stuttering issues and things. So I don't really think that's tied to the core of the game itself. And the demo, I don't think the demo showed enough about what works about the game in some ways. Like, I didn't really like the story or the voice work or the characters coming away from the demo. I don't think they made a great first impression. But as time has gone on, I think that is actually one of the strongest aspects of the game, which I was not expecting. But it did fundamentally kind of broadcast the central mechanic of this highly, highly action-oriented superhero type shooter. And it's just extremely fun to play. Like, it is not the most complex game in the world. Like, one of the maybe downsides of it is like, this is not really an objective game. It's like go into a space, kill every enemy in the space, get a key, open the door to the next space, kill everyone again, and like that repeats 100 times. That said, the way you beat those encounters, you kind of have to view them as like little combat puzzles based on how you want to get past them. Combination of skills, guns, baiting enemies in certain ways. So it's strategic. It's just kind of strategic in a different way. And that is something that kind of came across in the demo once you realized you weren't supposed to play it as a cover shooter. And then I think it benefited from all of this from word of mouth. And I have done my part in that. I was kind of hyping up Outriders by the end there and saying, like, I called it the one, kind of jokingly, of like, is this going to be a looter that launches and is like actually pretty good and not totally screwed up in every way at launch? So far, outside of these technical issues, it does seem to be getting a lot right, and all the impressions I've seen from like my kind of usual Destiny, Division, Borderlands crowd are very positive. Like, this seems like a game you can farm for a very long time, even if it's not kind of a live service game. Like, you can still, I just got to level 30, which is character max on the Trickster, after 20 hours at least, I think, and gear max is 50, and that's one character. So clearly this is going to take a long time, which is, you can put as much or as little time into it as you want, and it may have an end once you get, all the perfect gear you want and there's nothing left to do if they don't make new content. But that's fine. Like, again, this is not meant to be a game that you're going to be playing endlessly. This is not meant to kill Destiny. This is just supposed to be a good kind of action shooter with loot mechanics and RPG mechanics that also actually tells a good story, surprisingly enough. And I think it succeeds on all of those fronts. It's getting rewarded with a lot of players, and I think the Game Pass deal especially is really going to help it in the long run. And it doesn't really have competition right now. Like, the closest thing that's out right now is Monster Hunter Rise, but that is only a Switch game, and Outriders is not on Switch, so it's not competing with anything on any of their platforms. I think this would have been a big problem had it actually came out in December like it was originally supposed to, like very close to a lot of other games. Everyone thought back then it was moving because it was scared of Cyberpunk, which may have been part of it, but I do think they genuinely needed more time. And they have launched it now, and it is not, it's not full of like Cyberpunk style bugs, I'd say. Like, it is having technical problems, to be sure, but those are something that can hopefully be resolved and may be caused in part by the fact that there's just so many people trying to log on and crashing servers. I don't know what's going on with the PC version. That seems like kind of another thing, but that's not like, this mission is totally bugging out on me, et cetera, et cetera. Like, that's kind of a different category of problems that we're not really seeing as much. So I think they did a great job in the run-up, and I am not super surprised to see this as a hit based on like the past, month or so. But if you told me like 6 months ago or a year ago that I was going to be like this into Outriders and it was going to have this many concurrent players at launch, like on Steam, like I would have been very like surprised. I would not have believed you. So we're in this place now. We'll see. Well, who knows what the long-term prospects of the game will be. But again, it doesn't need, if the player base is down in a month or 2 months, who cares? Like, that's kind of how it was supposed to work. Like, people play it, they beat it, they finish it, they grind it as much as they want, and they move on. So there's no pressure to be like, oh, like Avengers just released this new update and like the player base is already down again. Like, it will probably get updates, but it's not it's at least playing it cool, like it's not supposed to be that type of game. And I think that that attitude, at least, no matter what it ends up actually doing, worked well to sell it ahead of time. So that's kind of my thoughts on the behind the scenes marketing of all this and how this has been. And I will get back to actually playing the game and hopefully getting it working on Steam here, and getting some footage up. And for now, I'll just stick on Xbox, and I'm still not done with the campaign on my Trickster, even though I hit level 30. So I'm taking my time, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.